I want to talk briefly about the Dublin 3 regulation, what it actually is, what its strengths are, its well-known weaknesses, and yes, the UK's actual use of it before Brexit. But first, a short detour, because I was addressed in the comment section with breathtaking condescension by someone called Dougalbird, who says, Tim, what do you call someone who persistently repeats a lie? That's what you're doing. You've been told countless times that the Dublin 3 Accord never worked. None of those crossing the Channel are refugees. They are in France, which is a safe country. Well, first of all, there are many people who cross the Channel who are refugees. That's been defined. Secondly, before we got to Brexit, there were instances where I think two people claimed refugee status, asylum, within the European Union. So it's certainly not. It's certainly not legally the case that because France is a safe country, no one would be wanting to exit France. And the learned tone of the pub bore, who's skimmed through one article and declared himself an expert in international law, is irritating. Yes, I certainly want to encourage debate, but I don't like being told to my face that I'm a liar. So let's actually define it. And I await an apology from Dougalbird. The Dublin 3 regulation is the EU regulation number 604-2013, in force from 2014, replacing the earlier Dublin 2 protocol. And it sets out rules for determining which EU country is responsible for examining an asylum claim. And the principle, an asylum seeker should claim protection in the first EU country that they enter. That, of course, puts undue weight on the countries in the southern states like Greece, Italy, and Spain. It stops asylum shopping, of course, lodging claims in multiple states, and it allows states to send someone back to the first responsible country if they move on irregularly. Most importantly, it keeps a record of where they've gone. It was not an open border system. It was a bureaucratic mechanism to assign responsibility. Its strengths are that it gave a clear legal framework. It prevented duplicated claims. It shared responsibility in theory, but it put undue pressure on countries already struggling like Greece, and it created a perverse incentive for countries to wave people through to other countries, and returns were often blocked by courts because of poor reception conditions. It depended on cooperation, which broke down during crises. But contrary to Dougalbird's breezy dismissal, it existed, it functioned imperfectly, and the UK used it. Dougalbird says, you've been told countless times that the Dublin 3 protocol, the Dublin 3 Accord never worked. It didn't work when we were in the EU. This is simply false. This is a view peddled by GB News and other media institutions, which is categorically untrue and can be proven. It worked imperfectly, often badly, but it operated. It's like saying the NHS never worked because the ambulances sometimes queue. This confident absolutism betrays a lazy mind. It's not that the Dublin 3 never worked, it's that it never worked as well as it should. So let's be factual. The UK used Dublin 3 to remove hundreds of asylum seekers annually until Brexit, until the Brexit transition ended in 2020. 2015, the UK made 510 transfer requests to other states after Dublin, under the Dublin Protocol. 252 people were actually transferred out of the UK to other EU countries that year. That's from the Home Office statistics. In 2016, 300 removals under Dublin. Again, the Home Office figures. In 2018, the UK removed 209 people under the Dublin 3 rules. Again, the Home Office asylum data table. These are often people who had entered via France, Italy, and Germany. For example, The Guardian reported in 2018 that the UK sent 209 asylum seekers to EU states that year under Dublin 3, with France, Germany, and Italy the main recipients. So Dougalbird's claim, how many did we ever manage to return, has a precise answer: hundreds, consistently. Not tens of thousands, no, but certainly not none. And why did it have problems? Because many applicants absconded before transfer. Some legal challenges succeeded on human rights grounds. Receiving countries often had overburdened systems, and border states were reluctant to take people back. Returns took time, and paperwork. This is not evidence of a system's non-existence, it's evidence of its complexity. But abandoning it altogether left the UK with no returns agreement at all. And also no record of where these people had travelled. Since Brexit, the UK has found it harder to return anyone. In 2021, just 5 people were removed to EU countries in the first 6 months under transition. Dublin 3 may have been a rickety bridge. Brexit burned it. So to finish, let's return to this. None of those crossing the Channel are refugees. They are in France, which is a safe country. Yes, the legal definition of a refugee is not annulled by being in France. A refugee is somebody with a well-founded fear of persecution. The correct mechanism to determine responsibility was Dublin 3. Without it, the UK has no formal way to insist that France take them back. So when Dougalbird writes, you choose to double down on your favourite lie because it fits your ideology and hatred for Brexit, I can only respond, it is not my ideology. It is the Home Office statistics. As for hatred for Brexit, if Brexit leaves us without a returns deal, it's not hatred to say so, it's honesty. Dublin 3 was an imperfect system, but it was a system. It gave the UK a legal path to return hundreds of people per year. Today there is nothing comparable. And those who dismiss this as a lie simply reveal that they have read too few Home Office reports and too many angry Facebook posts, and they've listened too much to GB News.